If you're like me and owned the original Xbox console back in 2002, the name Sam Fisher will absolutely bring a smile to your face in a way only stealth takedowns of armed security guards can do. If you've never even heard of Ubisoft's Splinter Cell, well, here's a seat on the bandwagon with your name on it. Greetings all, my name is Kontrol, I'm a veteran gamer with a knack for drawing. You're watching the latest in a series of gaming pinup videos, so if you enjoy the show, think about hitting the like button on your way out and subscribe for more. Now, I've never actually been employed as a security guard, but I feel like I've played enough video games to have compiled a pretty comprehensive list of common mistakes armed sentries tend to make on the job. If a sudden wave of unfortunate events saw your host tasked to guard the entryway to some top secret documents or a notorious gangster, I think I could at least avoid the 5 worst critical errors we see in games. If you absolutely have to walk a specific route, turn around and look behind you intermittently. Don't walk to point A, then stare into space for exactly 6 seconds before doing your about face. Mix things up a bit.
Yeah, act like one of those robot vacuum cleaners. Intruders will never know what you're going to do next.
Number 4, always assume someone's got your dome in their crosshairs. Keep nodding your head like you're listening to 90s metal.
Soundgarden preferably. Super Unknown or Bad Motor Finger, doesn't matter.
Number 3, if you run across another guard who's lying face down unconscious, don't wake him up and berate him for sleeping on the job. He's obviously been knocked out cold by some good-looking hero who's still lurking about. Sound the alarm.
And check him for sleep darts.
Number 2, along those same lines, if you run across a pile of unconscious guards,
sound the alarm?
No, clean out your desk and go home. Obviously you're dealing with a Corvo level event and it's time to haul ass.
I guess there's no point in adding yourself to the death toll.
And finally, number 1, if you hear a suspiciously loud noise like a tin can or pebble hitting the ground, don't say, "What is that? Is there someone there?" and slowly walk over in the direction of the noise.
Yeah, don't approach the whistle in the tall grass either, genius.
Instead, don't move a muscle and say, "Nice try, bitch. You like noises? Is the sound of me pulling the alarm."
What, are we sneaking into Starfleet headquarters?
Bonus tip, if you actually see an intruder and give chase, for the love of God, don't just go back to your normal routine if you lose them. Put yourself and everyone else on high alert for the next 24 hours or until the menace has been captured. Trust me, this probably ain't a drill.
Unless the hero's using a drill.
And I think that about covers it. Am I forgetting anything, kid?
There's probably trouble brewing if all the lights in a particular area start going out one at a time.
Good instincts. You know, if you weren't such a lousy shot, I'd recruit you for my team.
If you weren't such a lousy boss, I'd think about it.
Now, stealth-based video games are generally about avoiding combat whenever possible. Ideally, the player character negotiates their path through a level without being seen by enemy forces at all. For a lot of gamers, their first real introduction to stealth gaming was the legendary Metal Gear Solid for the original PlayStation. It wasn't the first stealth game, or even the first Metal Gear, but Metal Gear Solid introduced me, and probably most gamers, to video game stealth tactics. It was also the very first video game I'd ever played with a sniper rifle zoom effect, something a very young me was blown away by. In fact, except for the goofy and convoluted story, I really loved Metal Gear Solid.
Wait, didn't you tell me the 90s game magazines were raving about Metal Gear Solid's amazing story?
They were impressed that a video game had a complex plot with twists and turns, in the same way I'd be impressed by a McDonald's that served beef Wellington.
Are you still mad they rejected your McWellington concept?
Bastards! Anyway, the critics were so dazzled that a video game had a movie-level script, they didn't seem to notice it was bad movie-level. So yeah, I've never been impressed with Hideo Kojima's writing, but the gameplay and graphics were really good and fun for its time. And thus, Metal Gear and its hero Solid Snake have long been candidates to appear in a pinup for this very YouTube channel.
You haven't, though. It's because of Metal Gear Phantom Pain, right?
What a piece of crap.
I knew it! You never shut up about it!
Yeah, sometimes a sequel is so rancid, it even ruins the pretty good stuff that came before.
Last of Us 2 pinup incoming soon, Kontrol.
What a piece of crap. Okay, so I'm resistant to the idea of creating a video for a game series I have huge problems with current day. I prefer to relegate my negative opinions to quick and random cheap shots that most viewers of this channel don't even notice. I know I came pretty close to that line with my Dark Souls video, but Metal Gear might be crossing it. But in reconsidering Metal Gear a week or so ago, I remembered how much I loved Splinter Cell.
Isn't that where the Shredder imprisoned that big rat that talks to the turtles?
It is not. Splinter Cell is a stealth game series that resulted from a collaboration between Ubisoft and legendary espionage author Tom Clancy. It arrived in 2002, a few months after the debut of Metal Gear Solid's sequel, Sons of Liberty. Splinter Cell brought a new over-the-shoulder camera point of view to the mix and a far more realistic stealth mechanic. Our hero Sam Fisher didn't have a bird's eye view of the action or a helpful radar indicating enemies' field of vision like Solid Snake had. Sam didn't have an arsenal of weapons, and his missions took place in a Clancy-esque real-world environment.
So no supervillains with weird powers or giant nuclear mechs? Why does Sam Fisher even have to hide then?
Because Sam isn't superhuman either, Mello. In-game, he's not even a great shot. He's a veteran agent in his late 40s who specializes in computer hacking, low-level explosives, and close-quarters combat. No pushover, but not John Rambo either. He defeats enemies primarily by carefully positioning himself away from light sources and using his fictional trifocal goggles. That enables him both thermal and night vision. Well, you know what, they were fictional at the time. I hear some tech eggheads have actually created something like it that works in real life now.
Should gamers really be in charge of our military, though? I worry about soldiers who expect to respawn after dying in combat.
I hope they can at least resist the instinct to start teabagging dead Taliban.
So you're drawing Splinter Cell because you like it better than Metal Gear?
Yes and no. See, I stopped playing Splinter Cell after the third and best entry, Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, aka Splinter Cell 3. That game was an absolute masterpiece. Some of the graphics still look impressive to this day. It was a tough act to follow, and the games that came after didn't seem to have the same juice. For one thing, Ubisoft couldn't resist the urge to start making Sam himself the focus of the story, introducing his daughter, personal betrayal, and goofy melodrama, which seemed like a bad fit for the series. Also, the gameplay was starting to feature too much daylight and shooting. It's like they were trying to turn Sam Fisher into Jack Bauer. If I hadn't skipped all that noise, it might have tarnished my reverence for the early games, much like the truly awful Metal Gear Phantom Pain practically ruined that series for me. Now, I can hear some people screaming at me right now. What are you talking about? Phantom Pain was a work of genius. Brilliant in every way. And you might be right, but you're not though. It's terrible. Worst game in the series, and that's saying something.
You know, it's moments like this when I'm reminded why the dislike button exists.
Okay, I'm a big loudmouth, I get it, but maybe you think my Sam Fisher drawing is good. I have him pictured here doing his signature crouch walk in some grody-looking public bathroom. His face partially obscured, of course, by his signature trifocal goggles. They're always pictured glowing because it looks scary and badass, but I doubt they actually do. A three-pronged illuminated beacon on your forehead probably isn't the best look behind enemy lines, just saying. Anyway, Splinter Cell as a series has been MIA for quite a while now, as Ubisoft's Tom Clancy tie-ins seem permanently relegated to Rainbow Six and Ghost Recon, and Assassin's Creed has all the stealth you can eat. But hopefully it will return someday at a Chaos Theory level of coolness. Until then, this YouTube video will have to hold you over. Thank you so much for making it to the end. Do me a solid,
Snake!
And hit the like button before fleeing. And subscribe if the art/gaming rant aesthetic of this channel works for you. There is more to come, I promise.